We've been talking about this story now, it seems to me, for weeks. I thought it might go away. It's come back. You may have read Alison Haynes' editorial in the Gazette the other day, and the idea being that as Bill 96 continues to plod its way through the National Assembly, so many different clauses before it actually becomes law, if it actually happens before this session rises. One of the issues, of course, concerns Dawson College. That's really the one that's most prominent now, because what happened was we went from the CAC government saying, no, we're not going to give Dawson money to expand, which they had assumed would be coming. They were led to believe it would be. To now this newest amendment to Bill 96 that will force students there, Anglo students, to take 3 courses in French in their core study. In other words, beyond just taking a French language course, which you need to take, if you're studying nursing or science, you would have to take 3 of those courses in French. And if you didn't pass them, you would simply fail. And there's been a lot of outcry. We talked to a young lady just the other day, Natasha, right, to Brianna?
Yeah, Brianna, who's 17
years
headed
old.
to CEGEP and very worried about her ability. She just feels like she won't have the same chances as other people. She feels like it's going to be a setback for her and potentially affect her ability to graduate and get good grades.
And we've heard the same from other students, from parents as well, saying this is wholly unfair, didn't know where this came from. But then the bigger, perhaps, question or conundrum here comes from the fact that the provincial Liberal government supported this idea. At least that's what we have been told. Hélène David, who's the education critic, David BIRNBAUM, who is on the phone with us, going to join us in just a second, going ahead, and when we first found out about it, said, yeah, we're on board with this. And people wondering, well, how could you be on board with this? So we wanted to get a chance for David to explain. David BIRNBAUM is a Liberal MNA for Darcy McGee, and as I said, he's also the official opposition critic for relations with English-speaking Quebecers. David, this is the elephant in the room, this idea that the Liberals supported this idea. Are we wrong in saying this, or can you clarify if we are?
Yeah, thank you for having me, Aaron and Natasha. Here's what happened, and here's what can still happen. 2 things. Number one, in good faith, one of our 27 proposals talked about continuing the efforts for our English students through the CEGEP sector to perfect their French. And we talked about 3 courses. Here's what still has to happen. And then obviously I'm not missing the tremendous concern and a certain degree of anger out there in the community. And we've got to get to some other issues on the bill as well. Let's understand each other. We are in a very difficult process. I'm up here in the National Assembly about to get 200 hours of debate on this thing. The bill is not adopted yet. So one of the things we will do everything we can to do is to understand and have this government act on the reality that English-speaking students in CEGEPs can now not have their ability to graduate compromised, nor their ability to succeed. Now, are there ways within the law to make sure that in consultation with CEGEPs, this can be done right? Let's see what's coming. Do we have a challenge in front of us? For sure.
Okay, I'm not sure I heard an answer anywhere in there, David, so I want to ask again. Did you support this idea? Was this a Liberal initiative at the outset to say you will need to take 3 courses in French and an English CEGEP in order to graduate?
First of all, that is what was done. We had in our proposal that there would be additional courses. It wasn't our notion that you would scratch out courses in phys ed, nor did we say that they would be core courses. Now, are there difficulties with that need to be dealt with? Here's my answer, and I'm sorry, it is an answer. What I'm saying is that we're not done. The law is not adopted yet, and we don't know how this will be implemented, and we are working as hard as we can to see if there are ways to implement this that will not in any way compromise the opportunities or the success of our English kids in Quebec CEGEP. So at least let's understand that this is not a fait accompli.
Okay, but I mean, the CAQ doesn't exactly seem amenable to making changes or to having this, in any way benefit Anglophones. So are you confident? Okay, go on.
Well, there's work to do. No, they're not amenable. They're not amenable. One of the things that the media hasn't seemed to pick up on is that they have put in this law a prescription not for the freezing of English language enrollment, for its decline, because the proportion of kids in English CEGEPs must go down every year as it goes up in French and as it is going to go up. So I'm not talking about the CAQ's goodwill. I'm talking about pragmatic efforts to see if we can make this work, and let's see what happens. Now, with respect to where we were going and what we're trying to do up here, we're stuck with a government that is demonstrably intolerant towards our community, that has tried to divide the community by saying that there are only some Anglos for the purposes of receiving services who are eligible, and those are historic Anglos. I got the T-shirt, and that freezes out other people in our community, perhaps 500,000 of them. They've canceled the Dawson Project, as you know. There are things we're trying to get done up here against a government that is demonstrably disinterested and sometimes hostile to the future of our community. Now, our proposal, in good faith, now, are there things that might have been done differently? That's a question I'm receiving very, very often, but again, I reiterate that we're not done yet. Our proposal in good faith, and it's something that leaders in our community, including me, have said for 35 years. We are part of the solution, not part of the problem. Now, if we are part of the solution, it means we continuously are contributing to collectively mastering the French language while we retain our rights in English. Now, is there a way to make this work? There has to be. There has to be a way to make it work without our English kids suffering. Let's see what the next few weeks and months bring.
I could just ask one thing. As I hear you say this, are we looking at each other, Natasha, thinking, why would you have brought this up in the first place?
Well, and there, and I'll take the heat anybody wants to send my way. The vision behind it, I stand by. I stood by it through my 10 years as Executive Director of Alliance Quebec and 10 years as Executive Director of Quebec's English School Boards Association. And that is that our community has taken great strides and must continue to take strides to have particularly young people in our community master French so that they take their rightful place in Quebec and they contribute to our future. That was the notion behind one of our 27 proposals. Now, are there modalities or are there parts of it that might have been written differently, more care that might have been taken? Well, that's certainly something I'm hearing from a lot of people.
Well, I mean,
but
Mr.
let's see where we end up.
And you need to know that the text coming in, the Anglo community feels let down. I'm going to read you one that I think sums it up. They want to know why is the Liberal Party supporting this, and even suggested these three core courses be taken in French. This texter says, I will now need to send my 3 kids out of province for college because they won't be able to pass the science courses in French. It is my hope, this texter says, that this party is decimated in the next elections. I will never vote for them again.
Oh no! Listen. I'm understanding the visceral anger and concern out there. I am saying, number one, that we were not done yet. Number two, can we understand that? I hope there will be some anger and concern left over to bestow upon a government that's given the back of the hand to our community and proposed a bill that we will be voting against. Okay. Now, I'm hearing, but I don't accept for a millisecond that there's little distinction between what we're trying to do to protect the community and what the CAQ is willfully doing. They have just put in law that English CEGEPs in Quebec will decline and perhaps face a death of 1,000 cuts. That's outrageous, and we're trying to fight all of this.
Yeah, and David, I will tell you, I hear you use the word trying, and I feel for you, although we both understand you can try. You can say this till you're blue in the face. The bottom line is you have the CAQ who have an agenda. You have a Parti Québécois supporting what they're doing, and more often than not, Quebec's solidaire as well. So much as you want to try, be honest, how much do you think you can actually change?
Well, first of all, it's not only politics. For us to have inserted in a very, very flawed law an amendment that to a great extent protects your right and mine to English language, health, and social services is going to matter when for a long time, no matter who gets angry at me or whoever votes for whoever. It matters that we protect healthcare, and so we're trying to do our job and have done our job to a certain extent on that. We have search and seizure powers coming up still in the hearings, so we're going to plod through these hearings and fight against that. We have the central debate on the imposition of the notwithstanding clause across this law still coming up, and we're going to fight like hell. Are we always going to win against a majority government that, like I say, gives no indication about caring about our community? I don't know. I sure hope so, and we're going to keep trying.
You know, I have one question. Maybe it's not fair to ask this, because hindsight's 20/20. If you like this idea, and I understand to a point about, suggesting that we're much better off having our kids be bilingual and come out of school that way. We all get that.
Yeah.
Why not have suggested that for elementary school and high school as opposed to, say, throw it in at the CEGEP level?
Well, I guess two things, and I'm open, obviously, to suggestions that the modalities, as we presented them, might have been different. Two things. It's got to be both. It's got to be both. I've managed the English primary and secondary system, and we've taken enormous strides. But those strides have to continue, and frankly, they have to get even better. So it has to happen there. And if we want our kids to stay here and be employable in the best jobs, they will have to continue their efforts through the CEGEP system. But where I hear you and absolutely agree is we cannot freeze out any English kids from succeeding and getting through the English CEGEP system. And the one thing I do want to correct, there's nothing even in the proposal as it stands now that insists that there be core courses in French. Let's see what we get. We're not done yet.
Hold on a sec. What do you mean? I thought that was, in fact, what was here. The fact that not only would you have to take French language courses, which we understand, but core competency courses mandatory in French. Or you're saying that's not the case?
Well, let me be clear. Other courses, yes. What I'm saying is not they could be complementary courses. Yes, it's absolutely fair to note that there are other courses that are not just in the teaching of French. Okay. But I'm just saying they could be complementary courses. We have some battles ahead of us, no doubt, and let's see where we go.
David, I thank you for the time. I do appreciate you coming on with us.
Thank you very much.